Hi everyone, Julie here today to talk to you about Traveler's Notebooks. Guys, I am super excited about this summer's Little Summer Joy class. Partly because there is so much fun coming, partly because there are a lot of really awesome contributors again this year, and partly because I am just dying to jump into this Traveler's Notebook craze again and really explore this format of memory keeping. Last year I kept 2 Traveler's Notebooks, and I kept them for different reasons. And so this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've done in the album so far, what I did last summer, and I actually have some stuff that I'm finishing up this year too. And it's great because it gives me a chance to play around with some of the techniques that I want to do this summer, and also give you some live examples of how to work with this medium in a memory keeping way. So I want to give you a little bit of background on Traveler's Notebooks in general first, because any new medium can be a little intimidating, right? So when you first get started, you kind of think, well, how do I do this? So Traveler's Notebooks, there are a lot of different ways you can do them. You can use them as a planner, like actually use them as a calendar, as a source of your to-do list, as a daily journal. You can do them as a record kind of life, or you can use them as a scrapbook, and that's more what we're going to do this summer. Of course, you can do them any way you want, and you can get a handful of them and you can have them 6 different ways, and that's the beauty of Traveler's Notebooks, is that they're small and you can always add in another book. So this class is all about memory keeping in a Traveler's Notebook. So there are different sizes that you can purchase as well, and I'll go through the ones that I've used. So you can buy the Midori insert from the Traveler's Notebook Company. Now this is a Japanese company, and they have a variety of different types of papers and different inserts, and they're the ones that make the original cover that everybody loves so much. So I have one of those, and it's about 4 inches wide by 8 inches tall. So you can see it's kind of thin. The ones that I used last year, and I did this partly because I truly believe that this class, any class that you do with memory keeping, has to have some kind of affordability line, right? So it's awesome to spend a bunch of money on a project, but realistically that limits the number of projects that we can do. So we at Little Paper Projects are committed to finding different formats that you can do that have a lower entry point, and that allows somebody who doesn't do memory keeping the opportunity to get into it without spending a bunch of money on stuff. Of course you can spend a bunch of money on stuff, and I got a ton of ephemera this year, and I partly did that because I just wanted to show for this class the variety of things that you can use. But really, on a very basic level, you do not need much in terms of material to do this project. So last year I got the Moleskine, or Moleskine, I'm not sure how to say it, Cahir size notebook. This has plain paper, and it comes in a set of 3, and it's under $10 for 3 books. And the awesome thing about that is that, again, last year I made 2 of these, and the total cost was what, $6 for the 2 of these? And then I still have one left over to do for whatever project I want to do next. These Midori ones come somewhere between $7 and $10 on Amazon, and they come in a whole bunch of different styles as well. So Moleskine has the plain paper, it has rolled paper, it has grid paper. Traveler's Notebook Company has the same thing. They have grid paper, they have lined paper, they have plain paper. But they also have a whole bunch of different planner styles that you can do, and pockets and that kind of thing. So you can really get into building and customizing your own notebook with the Traveler's Notebook Company. I personally like the slightly wider size. Here, I'll put them together so you can see that the Moleskine is a little bit wider, and it just gives you a little bit extra room It's not even, it's probably only like a quarter to a half an inch. But it's just a little bit extra space. And it makes it nice to have that little boundary around your pictures. I haven't used a traveler's notebook before, like a traveler's notebook company notebook before. So this is a first for me. So I'm excited about it. But you can also make your own. And I'm going to show you this book. And I'm going to tell you a little story about this book. So this book I brought with me on my first international trip to East Africa. So this was in 2006, and it was before I knew about Pinterest or Instagram. In fact, neither of those might have existed at that point. But I knew that I wanted a plain book, and I knew that I wanted to capture memories in it. So I got it, and I'll open it up for you. So in this book, it came with some plain off-white journaling paper. And it's really nice, thick, high-quality writing paper. And so I used that and wrote a bunch of things and did some sketches and kept like leaves and labels and stuff like that. And I put it all in the book, and I kind of just left it because, let's face it, I was really busy. I was in college, and that was only my sophomore year, so I had a lot of work left to do, and my undergraduate was very, very busy. So I put this away and left it for a really long time. But recently, with the two projects that I did last summer with Little Summer Joy, I wanted to pull this out again and just kind of see if there were extra pages left, like if I could use this album. And it turns out that I could use the album, and it turns out that I knew exactly what to do with the rest of the book. So I'm in the process of putting that together, and I'm really excited because I'm going to show you guys how to take an old journal and turn it into a memory keeping project. Even way after you're done with the project or you're done with your trip, there's still stuff that you can put in your book, and there's still a way to kind of like bring that to life with photos and stories and quotes and some fun with art. So I'm really excited about that. So now I'm going to take you through two books that I started last summer that I haven't quite finished. And I want to talk a little bit more about where I left off with them and why I kind of left them where they were. So the first is my yoga journal. And this is a moleskin journal that I made during yoga teacher training last summer. Now truly, yoga teacher training, just like any other kind of big travel or event or learning experience in your life, is it's an experience worth recording. And it is because it's kind of like an exploration of self. And I don't mean that through like a, I don't know, weirdo hippie place. I mean that like actually just as going on my first trip to East Africa was an exploration of self. Going through yoga teacher training was kind of the same, even though it was close. It was a 4-week intense experience where I spent 12 hours a day doing yoga and working with the same people and exploring some deep concepts of self. And I definitely changed as a person, and I grew and I learned a ton. And that kind of experience reminds me a lot of other summers that I've had where I've lived away from home, or I've spent a summer just traveling. And I'll give you two other examples of summers that I wish that I had captured because they had a similar opportunity for growth. One of them was the summer in college that I lived in Connecticut. And I lived there by myself in a small studio apartment, and I worked really long days. There was something about living alone that just made it really fun. And so I went to farm stands, I listened to a lot of audiobooks, and I had a lot of time to myself. And I really wish that I had captured that in some way because it was a wonderful, awesome time. And so another summer, a few years later, I ended up spending most of the summer in Maryland and DC and Virginia for work. And it was, again, the same thing where I was by myself a lot, and I really loved it. And again, I went to farm stands and I explored places, and I totally fell in love with Maryland and Virginia and DC. And I, part of me always wants to like wanderlust back there all the time because I had such a joyful experience there. And so I really wish I had captured that summer as well. And so that's how I look at this yoga journal for me, is while that it is about yoga and it is about a learning experience, that anytime you spend a lot of time by yourself, there's a real opportunity there to kind of like get into your stuff. And I don't know, I think as a mom, especially with 2 kids and a third on the way, a husband who I love, and a lot of friends, it's rare for me to find time to just be alone by myself. And obviously, in my 3rd trimester of pregnancy, I'm really admiring that opportunity. And I'm probably romanticizing it a little bit, but I did truly enjoy those experiences. So let's look at the book. So this is my yoga notebook. So the cover is scrapbook paper that I affixed to the brown craft notebook cover, and you can see this is what the cover looked like before. And so I had originally had a stamp on this, and I just didn't like the way it came out, so I decided to cover it. And I had this paper that was one of those papers I had been saving forever because I loved it so much and I was so afraid to use it, and I really wanted it to be for something special. And so I put it on here because this is the perfect opportunity. And so what I did was I cut the height down to size. You can see that it's flush with the edge. And then I used a glue stick, and I just glue sticked all over the top. And I left a little bit of length on each side so that I could overlap and then affix that with some washi tape. And so on the front, I have a banner that I got, and I'm not really sure where. A lot of my supplies are kind of dated. I keep them for a long time because I want them to come together for the right album, and so this happens a lot. So this sticker is part of a Studio Calico sticker that you'll see later in the book. And this sticker is from Ali Edwards. It's from her Magic Story Kit. And honestly, as soon as I saw the story kit, I knew that I had to get it because it was perfect and so me, and the colors are gorgeous, and everything she makes is gorgeous anyway. So here's the other side, here's the back, and you can see I continue the banner washi along here, and then I added a Y, one of my favorite Alpha sets. Again, it's an older set, and I'll link to it in the notes. I really liked the way it came out. I wanted it to be simple, and again, you can see I fixed it with some washi tape on the back. And so there's a folder in the back of these books. This is the Moleskine book, and I really like the way that came out. So anyway, so this is the cover, and you can see I left the corners square. I actually really liked them square, even though the rest of the book is round. Let me just move that more towards the center. So you can see I stamped on the inside. These are alphas that I got at Michael's. A Story About is a sticker from Studio Calico, and then this is another stamp from Studio Calico. And so the washi is from Target Dollar Spot, because Target Dollar Spot is amazing. And then this little sticker is from an older set. It's that same as the banner that was on the front, and then that's a Studio Calico sticker, and you can see that that's the 2/3 of what's over here. Because why waste anything if you don't have to? And so in this book, one of the things that I absolutely love about it was that a couple weeks ago when I picked it back up again, there was a lot of blank space, and I just didn't know what to do with it. So I decided to make a little template in Photoshop that I could use to copy and paste my blog posts. Then there are blog posts that I wrote on my old blog called How I Sustain. And so this is a blog post about getting ready for yoga, on how I came to do this yoga teacher training and really capture the journey. I wanted this book to be kind of a whole story, and so that started actually in April with my first post. So this blog post was just about kind of rediscovering yoga. It was before I decided to go to teacher training, but it was definitely on my mind, and it became something that was important to me. And so I wrote about it. And little did I know that a couple months later I'd be signing up for teacher training and going to teacher training. And so I painted this. I just freehand painted this with watercolors. I really like playing with watercolors in this format. I love just playing with color and an opportunity to carry paints around and just do something creative. And so this was really fun for me. And obviously, like, I'm just still playing around with my aesthetic and stuff, but I'm happy with how it came out. I don't have any high expectations for a book that I am probably only going to look at a couple of times a year. So it's just perspective, right? So we can be so self-critical, but in reality, like, who is going to look at this book and say, wow, that's really bad watercolor? So here's the first half of the blog post, and the second half of the blog post is here. And I like pages with all text. I'm really happy with that. I wish the colors worked a little bit better together, but again, I'm not being nitpicky because truly this is about capturing the story, and however that gets captured, I'm fine with it. So I had all these little pictures of me getting ready. You can see I was at the gym a lot. I had no idea what to train for, so I just kind of did a lot of stuff. And so I was there pretty regularly. And I added a number 1, again, from an old set of alphas that I had. And then I added this paper strip and put the pictures together and then wrote a little bit on the side. I like to keep my pages simple. You'll see that obviously. And so here's another blog post. This one is from May 26th. And it's all about, at this point, now I'm getting ready for teacher training. I've signed up for it. I'm preparing. We're kind of getting everything ready. Here's a picture of me practicing. And then I put a big alpha P for practice. And I'm really happy with the simplicity of these pages because I don't think that it needs to say a lot. Obviously, I'm saying a lot already, so I don't need to add much more than that. And so I kept this really simple. And so this is a long blog post, and it's actually really in-depth and personal, and I shared it because I like sharing in-depth stories like that, but also writing is a form of therapy for me, for sure, like hands down. And so this is a picture I took of some flowers that I had, and I added in this stamp. This is a digital stamp from the Paper Studio app, I believe. And then I put in the date. It's nice to have the date, especially when you're writing a lot, because I think it really captures the timeline of events. And so obviously after that, I can keep it short. And so I had prepared a lot of these pages ahead of time. I wrote prepare and getting ready long before I had anything in those previous pages. And so I just for planning's sake, you can see that it's a few pages in. And so that's just good information to consider when you're setting up your book. And so again, I put simple picture with a letter for G, getting ready. And then another simple gray background with another simple picture and an arrow sticker. This is, I believe this is from Studio Calico. And so here you go again, another blog post. And again, I'm so happy to have these stories in a place. Like, that makes me really happy. And then you can see here, I get more in depth with the story. And so this is a story about me doing a handstand for the first time, which as I'm looking at this, I'm looking at it and going, ouch, because that's really not the best form. So don't copy this picture. But for me, a handstand was one of those things that was really holding me back and making me feel like I couldn't do yoga teacher training. Like, who was I to go to yoga teacher training if I couldn't even do a handstand when a lot of people can do handstands? Even though I went into teacher training very much with this like open mindset and I'm there to learn, I'm there to learn to teach, I'm not there to show off who I am, I just really wanted to be able to do a handstand. And so I had this conversation with my husband about it, and he said, I'm sure you can do a handstand. And I said, no way can I do a handstand. And he was like, why don't you just try? And I said, okay. And turns out I could do a handstand, actually. I used the support here. I didn't get a picture of me by myself, but yeah, I can do a handstand, or I could even do it then. But obviously, like, that arch is no good, so don't copy this picture. And so for this, I added just a little border, and I had all these like little word stickers that I added. I think these are from Studio Calico. And then I put just a little bit of washi, and again an A. I'm obsessed with just using a single letter. That size just worked really well, and it looks great in the book. And so I wrote attitude, attempt, and achieve underneath, and I think that really speaks to kind of where I was. And so this is a quote that I painted in my book halfway through teacher training. It was a quote that one of the girls mentioned, and we talk a lot about in teacher training about kind of putting yourself out there. It's hard to learn to teach, especially something as personal as yoga, where people are really trusting you to kind of be their guide through that experience. And so we did a lot of work on ourselves to be okay with sharing. And so this is the quote that really resonated with me. And it's, a ship is safe in its harbor, but that's not why ships are built. And so this year I actually got this from Target Dollar Spot, and I put this on it, but I really liked the paint flecks all over it. I loved painting this quote. I have a thing for painting in books. This is so much fun. And so this is the beginning of week 1. And again, just a little puffy sticker from Studio Calico. This is super old. This is like a few years old. And then just some plain cardstock, and then I added my picture, and then I wrote along the bottom of it. And then another page now, I'm actually starting to write in it. July 8th was 2 days before our training, and I'm glad that I wrote that because I definitely would not have remembered it otherwise. And then this is a picture from the beginning of teacher training, and I just added a little word sticker again from Studio Calico and a banner from that same set that was on the cover. And then I painted I am yoga. I was really, again, trying to embrace this idea. And so you'll see a lot of quotes like that. So like self-doubt doesn't serve you. That was one of the things that I learned early in training. And I really like this message a lot. Let go of that which doesn't serve you. Let go of comparison. Let go of material matter and comfort. That comes at a cost. And just be present. And so in teacher training, it's easy to say, oh, well, look at this yoga mat that I have, or this nice yoga outfit that I have. But like, that's not what it's about. And so that's what this quote is kind of saying. And I just interpreted kind of what my teacher said, and I put it in here. And that was the kind of stuff that really, to me, takes this experience, it brings me back to it and takes it to life. And I had put a border with watercolor in between, and I didn't like it, so I covered it with washi, because that's what you do in a traveler's notebook. You can't change it, it's there, so you might as well just work with what you have. And then here's another quote: let go of the experience you expect to have with yourself, and more journaling. So this is day 1, and this is just the beginning of the experience. And so I still might do a little something here. I think I could use some paint splatter or something, so we'll see how that turns out. And then again, this is kind of like a journal. I wrote what I ate just for those few days. That wasn't something I could keep up with. And then I just added some more painting to the bottom of these. Often when we had lunch break, I would go over to a food place and sit down by myself and paint in my book for a little while and write in my book for a little while, and I really liked that. And so I just added a little sticker here. I actually wrote, there's a podcast that I listened to that I really liked. That meant a lot, so I added that here. And then I added in some more quotes. Again, quotes that were inspired by what I learned. We all engage in things that don't serve us. Your journey is just that, and things like that. It's just for you. No one else can experience your experience. No one else will ever fully understand. But let them be there however they show up, and let them see your light. I just really like these quotes. And again, I love the splatter, and I loved just adding like little stickers and stuff like that kind of just, again, make it feel complete for me. And so here's a quote that says, this moment, yoga is an energy practice. We talked a lot about energy from the standpoint of, like, it's easy to get tired, but like if you do yoga, it actually gives you more energy, and just kind of recognizing that you do have the energy you need to be able to do this. It's more like a confidence thing than it is anything else. And so you can see, like, I did some journaling, and then I just put painted words in between. And I actually, I had written this quote to paint it, and I never painted it, so I might do that soon. And so here's just more text, painting, text, painting, text, painting. What if? I got to play with some colors there, which I really liked. You can just see more journaling, more journaling, more journaling. Little stickers in between. One of our homework assignments was to do a salt scrub and take a bath because we were really tired and our teacher was being very kind to us. And so this is like, again, this is another quote, and it was more about fluidity, and like now obviously I'm getting into the more yoga touchy-feely side of being in teacher training. And so I wanted to keep this page simple, and I did that by just adding like a picture, and it's a picture of my reflection in a dirty window outside, not the studio, but a building near the studio. And I really liked how that kind of came out. It sort of brings this idea of liquidity and movement and into a photograph, and so it was actually the perfect. So I just added a little washi tape, I put a little sticker, and the number 2, and I do think, again, I think this needs some paint splatters all over it, so we'll have to add that. And then I have another square picture here, and just like some simple text and a simple sticker, rest day, and this time I outlined my watercolor with black ink. So I thought sometimes it's nice to kind of finalize it a little bit. I liked this, but it just, like the black outline really brings it off the page. And I added a little bit of washi. And so this is all the new stuff that I did after teacher training, and actually this is all the new stuff that I did just recently. I went through my pictures, and I found so many of them that I really wanted to include, and so I included pictures of us during training, a little sticker, a selfie that I took. I did a self-portrait project last year where I took a picture of myself every day, and so this is one of the pictures. You can see like the excitement / nervousness in my eyes. It's not a complimentary picture, but whatever, it's fine. And then this little word sticker down bottom says, "You are most certainly loved." And I included some dots and a heart. And then I put some journaling right here. I actually typed it out on my computer and then put it into a typewriter type font and printed it out, and then cut it all into strips so that I could glue it in. And you can see that this is kind of the theme throughout. So more journaling, another picture, and then write this down. That's the word text. And this one says 100% original. It's a picture of one of the guys from my class, and it's actually the t-shirt that we loved, and it's right outside the studio where I trained. And then there's the letter sticker again. E is for eat. And again, a puffy sticker, a little thing that says moments, and then a square 3x3 picture. And again, another picture, and then some text. And you can see how once you get into a rhythm like this, the pages can come together pretty quickly. And I love that. So this is just another picture, and some stars, and the word remember. And I'll read this because I like how it came out. I said, "I just love this picture. It was half a second, a moment, an unplanned spectacle every single time, and it makes me smile." And so this is the last page that I did more recently, and it's just a picture of my feet, my towel, my yoga mat, and my journal. So you can see my journal was with me every day in practice, and just a little sticker that says Wednesday, a star. So now I have all these blank pages left, and that's where I'm going to do the rest of my journaling and add some more pictures in and play around with a few more things. I have some more quotes to paint, so I guess I will be painting in this book, which gives me that chance to put all those splatters in. And then here's a quote. This is from Allie Edwards' Magic Story Kit. It says, "And above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it." And that's by Roald Dahl, who wrote The Giving Tree and Where the Sidewalk Ends, and some of my favorite childhood books everywhere. And so this is a picture of, not everyone, but a lot of people in my teacher training, and that's the last page. And I know that I'm going to add some kind of story or text to the back of that, and then close it up. And so that's my journal. So I'm so glad that I got to share this book with you. And obviously it's not done, but it could be if I wanted it to be. I just realized that, especially in preparing for this class, that there was an opportunity here, but also I have a thing against empty pages. And I just couldn't bring myself to leave this book totally done, if there were pages left over, especially if there was more story to tell. And so I'm picking it up a year later, and I'm adding those final stories. And I made some notes for myself. I put it on sticky notes, and I put it on the front here because I have 17 pages, and I counted them as blank pages in the book. So not like a full 2-page, but just like as a single pages. And so I have 17 pages left. And so I found 11 pictures, and I found another handful of quotes from my experience, things that I wrote down, things that inspired me, and I'll probably add in some Project Life cards and some other things that I still have left over from the experience. And I'm going to put those all in at the end of this book, and maybe add in a story or two and close it out that way. And I love doing that because to me that is like the meaning and the essence of what comes from a traveler's journal, and that is that you have the opportunity in between these covers to get into something. And I really like getting into the depths of stuff. So that's my project. I hope you liked it. I hope it inspires you, and I hope it gives you a little bit of insight as to what you can do in a traveler's notebook.